If dragons were real, how science and history would be broken? Have you ever wondered what the world would be like if dragons were real? Not just in stories and myths, but soaring through our actual skies. It's an awesome thought, right? But if these magnificent, fire-breathing creatures existed, they would completely shatter our understanding of biology, physics, and even human history itself. The world would be a far more dangerous and, frankly, a much cooler place. So let's break down how science and history would be broken if dragons were real. First up, the science. A massive flying reptile that breathes fire isn't just a fantasy. It's a biological and physical impossibility by our current rules. For a creature weighing hundreds or even thousands of pounds to get off the ground, it would need some serious biological hacks. Think about the aerodynamics. Their wings would have to be enormous, far larger than what we see in most fantasy art, but size alone isn't enough. The most plausible scientific theories suggest they'd need a few key adaptations. One popular idea is hollow bones, just like birds, but on a much grander scale. These bones would need to be reinforced with something incredibly strong, almost like a natural carbon fiber, to support their immense weight without shattering on landing. But even with light bones, they'd still be too heavy. That's where internal gas bags come in. Imagine sacs inside the dragon's body filled with a lighter than air gas, like hydrogen or heated methane, produced by their own digestive system. This would essentially turn the dragon into a living, flying blimp, giving it the buoyancy it needs to achieve flight. And then there's the fire problem. How could a living thing breathe fire without cooking itself from the inside out? This would likely require a sophisticated two-part system. First, a special gland would produce a highly flammable substance. It could be a concentrated form of methane, or maybe a unique phosphorus-rich venom. Then, a second gland would create the spark. This could be a tiny electrical charge, like an eel, or perhaps by forcefully expelling a chemical catalyst, like powdered platinum, that ignites the fuel upon contact with the air. It's a biological flamethrower, and their scales? They wouldn't be just skin. They'd have to be more like a natural ceramic armor, incredibly dense, and possibly infused with metals from their diet, making them resistant to swords, arrows, and maybe even early firearms. Now let's talk history. If dragons were real, they wouldn't just be another animal. They would be the undisputed apex predators of the planet, and human civilization would have evolved entirely around them. Forget about grand, sprawling cities like ancient Rome or Athens. Any large open settlement would be an all-you-can-eat buffet for a passing dragon. Instead, human societies would have been forced to build their homes in naturally defensible locations, deep inside cave systems, within dense forests where dragons couldn't easily maneuver, or even burrowed underground like hobbits. Our architecture and city planning would be defined by defense and concealment. Warfare would be completely different too. The age of cavalry charges and grand armies meeting on open fields. That would have never happened. A single dragon could incinerate an entire legion in minutes. Wooden naval fleets would be floating bonfires. Military strategy would have revolved around anti-air tactics from day one. Humans would have become experts in guerrilla warfare, using terrain for cover and developing specialized siege weapons, giant crossbows, catapults designed to target a dragon's weak spots, like its eyes or the softer scales on its underbelly. History wouldn't be written by kings with the largest armies, but by those who could either kill, tame, or negotiate with dragons. Empires might have paid tribute gold, livestock, maybe even people just to be left alone. The greatest heroes in our history books would be the dragon slayers or the legendary dragon riders who harnessed their power. So what if they survived into the modern era? They would pose the ultimate challenge to our technologically advanced world. Air travel would be a nightmare. No commercial airline or air force could operate freely with territorial, fire-breathing predators ruling the skies. We'd need global anti-dragon defense grids, using advanced radar, sonic cannons, and massive surface-to-air missiles just to keep critical airspace clear. Geopolitically, dragons would be the ultimate weapons of mass destruction. A single dragon could level a city block, cripple a nation's power grid, or melt a nuclear power plant into slag. Any country that managed to ally with or control a dragon would have unimaginable power on the world stage. It would create a terrifying new kind of arms race. We'd be locked in a constant, complex struggle, trying to conserve these magnificent creatures for scientific study while also defending ourselves from their devastating potential. Zoologists would be military strategists, and dragon attacks would be reported on the news like hurricanes or earthquakes. So, while the idea of a world with dragons is thrilling, it's a world built on fear, adaptation, and a complete rewriting of everything we know. It makes you appreciate our dragon-free skies, doesn't it? What do you think would be the biggest change if dragons were real? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into a world that could have been, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more what ifs. See you next time.